All right, it should be working. Last minute details, changes, errata, clicking, and let's look here. Are we live? Yep. And let's do something silly to show you what I actually have to do to get this to work. I am always retuning. Oh, that didn't work at all. Crap. How'd that? I broke it. 1 second, folks. There we go. I can actually, should be able to now switch. Actually, let me hit restore chat. This is always fun when I play with all this stuff. Now, this is cool, but this is where things will get even... it's always amusing to me when I do this. I had to take remote control to get control of this so this works. Actually, I think there's... Yeah, if I switch it... Anyways, I had the remote control to set it up, and I had missed the setting and whatever. That's... I have to look because there's more than one camera here. We'll put it back to this one here. Welcome to Vlog Thursday, number 240. I am just having fun today. And I try to have fun every day. That's an important factor, that we laugh a little and enjoy things. So what do we got here? I'm reading all the comments. The comments are way easier to read on the screen. So it's kind of cool as I'm looking right here. But it looks like I look at the comments. So actually, they're on the screen right here. Why would someone give a thumbs down to a video that hasn't started? Because why not? If you're going to troll, troll hard. I guess. I don't know. I don't know why people do what they do. Anyone else eating lunch? Maybe. I already ate. We had lunch. I made burgers today. Nice thing. Since Brett has taken over, I have more time to do the important things here at the office. Like cook burgers. A little bit of hiccup there. But that's an important aspect. Got to make sure someone feeds the people here. It's all string and glue behind the scenes. Yeah, it really is. It's all just kind of... Matter of fact, this is the thumbnail. It was me playing with some hard drives I made for the video. I got to up my thumbnail game, make them more clickbaity. As much as I personally don't like it, I've already done the A/B testing, putting silly faces instead of just actual context what it is. It works. I've done the tests. I do thumbnail A/B splitting, and sorry folks, the if I want people to view the videos, if I wanted to show up higher in the YouTube ranking system at all, making silly faces and putting them on there works. It's one of those things, like I could not do it. Someone says, hey, you're giving in. And I'm like, not really giving in. The goal is to get people to view the videos. You don't spend hours and hours creating videos to not have someone view them. And so I've had to kind of, yeah, I've unfortunately had to kind of do that. Oh, actually, I just realized this is wrong. There we go. I got this cool little dial here. Show you guys how this works. So you go here, and you dial in. I can turn up the lights, turn down the lights. Spiffy. I got to do a tour of my new studio. All right. Here's a good question. Is it a good idea to host Greylog on a virtual private server or on-prem? Well, that depends. And I say it depends because it depends on how you're getting the data to the virtual private server. One of the challenges with a logging server is if you have a lot of data, now you have to egress all that data out of your network and onto a virtual private server. That may not be practical. That may be a data egress of a volume that would be restrictive on your network connection. So not an easy answer for that. It's best to have logging servers, generally speaking, closest to the thing they're logging. If you built out your infrastructure in some virtual hosting system, you would probably want Greylog to also be in that same virtual hosting system, so the data is moving laterally, be in the fewest hops possible over to the server. So that is... hopefully that makes sense on that right there. Worms on the screen? I don't think so. Engagement target is more appropriate than clickbait. You are correct, Chris. I will definitely agree with you there. And that's the goal. I actually think it was interesting. I believe it was Vsauce just did an updated video about that. And it's really comes down to creating engagement as opposed to the more scientific thinking, because I don't watch a lot of videos. I don't watch a ton of YouTube, especially not tech YouTube. So it's also a challenge for me to think differently. I mostly read. And so I'm not, book covers aren't really clickbait, but they have a different type of target. So a little bit different. So I said, think out things a little bit different. So you've got 2 Greylog hosts and 2 racks, tried but failed, and have 1 database. Yeah, the other thing I talked about in my last video I just did is one of the things. Actually, I need to turn this off because it's sucking up CPU cycles. There you go. One of the things that when you have the Greylog system inside of a VM, I talked about this in my last video, you actually want the storage for it to be outside the VM, because on just the nature of Greylog, it's running elastic, it's got a lot of read writes, it's got a lot of database activity and a lot of data, so you kind of want to have that not inside of the VM in a different storage. I want to do a series of videos, and it's all leading up to this because I've been testing so much equipment lately and diving into storage design, and I think there's a lot of misconceptions. Veritasium. Yes, Veritasium, not Vsauce. I conflate those. I don't watch many YouTubers. I conflate them because I don't know those names very well. I'm bad about that. On the topic of storage design, I do have some upcoming videos I want to work on that are specifically dedicated to ways you design the storage arrays, because how you design arrays of drives for things like storage matters, and matters quite a bit that you get these done in a way that makes sense, in a way that's practical, and in a way that will work for the things you want to do. Because when you're stacking all this up, you have to stack it up to be good, or it'll fall over. I wanted to do that really bad. It'll all fall over and everything will go bad. And actually, that's what all these are. All this stuff is broken here, so I didn't do. I'm not the breaking channel person. I'm not the dropping person either, because the dropping person is a completely different channel with way more subscribers. Maybe I should be the dropping person because that person has way more subscribers. Veritasium source. Yeah, it was a recent video I just happened to see. I do watch some of the videos on that. I have probably a few YouTubers I watch. Maybe a few of you. I laughed because someone had made a comment that they were talking about Lawrence. I do watch some of Lawrence, as in Lost in the Pond. I find it interesting when he contrasts life in England and Britain versus life in America. I only know life in America, so that contrast becomes interesting to me. So there are other YouTubers I watch. It's just less of them in the tech arena that I watch. Because if I wanted to dive deeper into, hard drives and things like that, I just like reading and doing and configuring all these servers. Let's see. Synology, multiple products impacted by OpenSSL RCE vulnerability. Yep, always update time. Keep everything up to date. Yeah, this is a constant with any of these. Let's look this one up so we're all on the same page. So let's actually switch to this. Breaking news here, because this is posted on August 26th at 3:42 p.m. only 18 minutes ago. Synology, multiple products impacted by OpenSSL RCE. Denial of service attack, execute every code. Synology, Synology router manager, VPN server. Well, yep, time to get that thing up to date. So, matter of fact, we have one here. Let's actually update it. Let's see if it needs an update. Where did it go? So many things here. I think this is. Oh, it's turned off right now. Actually, I just realized I don't have it on. I don't have it on, or I can't update. Oh, I can update one of the other ones. Let me pull that one over here. So if we go to Synology, which one do we have? Is the Let's see if this one needs an update or has an update. Package center. It's not alerting me for any updates. Oh, yeah, I already updated these, so clear all. So I think all the packages, everything I have is always up to date. I turn everything on auto update on these, so. Oh, there's a beta program for this. Neat. Maybe I'll load that next. But my system's always up to date because I turn auto update on everything. I'm not afraid to have auto update turned on with Synologies, but it affects DSM-7 more severely. So make sure my DSM-7 server. I have them all behind their own VPNs. I have patch is coming within the next 90 days. Really? Huh. Interesting. Okay. Generally patch affected software within 90 days after publishing advisories. Multiple advisories. Huh. Let's see. Multiple vulnerabilities allow remote authenticated users to execute arbitrary commands. Remote authenticated users on remote attackers write arbitrary. So they have to have some level of authentication if I'm reading that right. All right, I'll dive into this. This is cool. We keep everything up to date, though. That's obviously hugely important on any of these devices if you have them out there, keeping them up to date. So, let's see. Space usage versus file system type. I actually just addressed that. So if you're using iSCSI for storage, that will make a difference versus NFS. But as far as how much space is taken up by file system type, like NFS versus ext4, I mean, not NFS, I'm sorry, like ZFS versus ext4. I've never really done any testing on it. I don't think that's super relevant. I don't think there's like a night and day difference. There are probably certain efficiencies, but I don't think your file system is usually driven by the amount of space used by files. Matter of fact, for any file system, certain tuning within that file system may cause the allocation to be different on there. Any recommendations for an 8-bay NAS chassis? Hopefully the people in the live stream can help out because I certainly don't have any recommendations for an 8-bay chassis. I haven't bought anything like that in a long time. Does NFS require the same user on both sides? Not exactly. NFS is very different. The NFS is going to primarily, I think you can do Kerberos type authentication, but it can also do, the NFS authentication system is not like normal SMB type authentication system. So it's a little bit, I've never dove in deep on that particular topic in any of my videos to reference, but if you start reading on how NFS, a lot of people just restrict it by IP. It's a little bit, it's a little bit more complex. We'll just say that it's usually not something people worry as much about. Generally speaking, you expose and bind your NFS onto a dedicated storage network that nothing else is attached to, so it becomes less of an issue. So all of your storage is occurring, but you're not as much worried about the authentication because it's locked down on a separate network that only the storage server gets to talk to with nothing else. But you put it on a non-routed network so things can't even get on to that network. It's physically usually separated as well because it doesn't need to have anything more than maybe some reliability if you have redundant switches, if you're building out of SAN, but it's not something that is, to me, as big of a deal on there. Love your videos, love your content. Big data hoarder, opinions on Synology rack station, only want a rack for the space. I have a Synology 2-bay and love it so far. Yeah, I really think Synology makes a solid product. I love, that's one of the reasons me and Jay just did a video for, if you watch our Home Lab show. We did one Synology because for a lot of people, this is what it comes down to. Some people are like, oh, I want to tinker with everything. Well, you can build your own. I want to kind of tinker with everything, but I like something that has a UI. Go with TrueNAS. I want something that works out of the box with very little effort and I want to focus on other things like, cybersecurity or hacking or whatever your hobby might be in the tech world or non-tech world as far as that goes. But Synology becomes that easy, out-of-the-box, turnkey, plug it in, cool, it all works. It has a lot of great features out of the box. And for Synology, it's kind of hard to beat that. They've done a good job of being turnkey on that. If you look up, if you go spend some time in the FreeNAS forums, there's a lot of people that would recommend some DIY cases. I've told a few people this, and I don't know if this is even worthy doing a video, but we'll pull it up over here and actually... wrong button. There we go. Probably got to put in FreeNAS. Usually, yeah, works better with this. I guess I could have put Chia in there as well. You can buy some of these 72 gigs of RAM for you. Large chassis, they're not that expensive with a lot of stuff in there. Let me find something a little cheaper. 12 bay RAID FreeNAS. I mean, this is with the motherboard in there too, by the way. You can find some of these that have compatibility for, and look, dual power supply in here. And I'm not endorsing this particular build, and I don't know the best prices on here, but all you got to do is show some hard drives in this. So there's your dual processors, memory, JBOD, controller cards. Oh, hard drives too. You can find one probably without hard drives here. 24 terabyte of storage for $495. How much do you plan to spend if you buy a system like this? This is one of those questions that comes up all the time. So what if you want to build a system like this, or hunt around on eBay? You can find some of these used chassis for relatively inexpensive. Just got to do some deal hunting, and or maybe you don't. That's if you want to put new hard drives in it. If you don't, you can buy some of these that have, like this has 12 10 terabyte SAS hard drives in there. FreeNAS JBOD. I mean, that's 3,000. I don't know where your budget lies. If it's in the 179, yeah, this one probably has. Okay, no RAM in this one. I would at least get RAM. That way, it works. 2U 12 bay SAS, 2 byte cores, no RAM. Something like this with RAM in it. I mean, or even if you're building your own, I mean, you can see, let me pull it up here. Okay, that motherboard is not standard. I was going to say, the cool thing is when you find one with a standard motherboard, that would make it a lot easier. This one's not quite. But look around on the eBay market. That's where you can really get some deals on. There we go. That's not, like I said, it comes down to, that's a lot of RAM in that. Plenty of drives, even rails. $16.99. So ZFS server, 2U, 12A, SAS, etc. You kind of get the idea. These are some deals you can find if you're wanting to buy some of these. So for DIY NAS, it's so cheap to do that. So I don't care much for the QNAP. I've never tried this, but a few people said you can take and put non-proprietary software on there. I don't know how hard that is to do. QNAP does not have a great security record. What are my thoughts on Unraid? I don't use Unraid. If you'd like to use Unraid, go ahead. Unraid does not scale. From no one I've talked to tells me that Unraid can scale the same way you can with a Synology or TrueNAS. That's one of the reasons I like those two solutions. Scalability is where, we have a customer right now. There's a project I have coming up, and it's why I've been on the topic of storage servers. We have so many parts we're putting together. We have a build we're doing that's got a total of 84 18 terabyte hard drives. This is why we talk about things, and it's a TrueNAS build. This is why we talk about TrueNAS builds. That's 84, 18. I think that's actually what the picture is the boxes are starting to come in. I'll pull it up real quick. There's an excited me posing for a social media picture, of course, here, looking at boxes of 18 terabyte hard drives coming in. Like, this is, where are they at here? Yeah, as boxes of these start coming in, the this is for projects. This is one of the reasons we don't use Unraid is because we focus on a lot of scalability. I don't have any reason to tell people not to use it. And I think it's probably an awesome lab tool, but it's not a tool that I'm as likely to use. See, I have one foot in the home lab where I like to get people excited and into this stuff because I believe we need more people in tech, and I like to share my knowledge, get people understanding, and it's exciting for me to see all these people joining in and jumping in this because there's a lot to learn. But ultimately, like where I live, so to speak, and I do more of the enterprise work as well. I love doing the home lab work, but I also like when I see it scale up there and build these larger NAS systems. That makes it a lot of fun, but that's also why I spend a lot of time learning a product and getting very good at it, such as TrueNAS or Synology, because we're doing these larger projects with those tools. We've deployed some pretty cool projects for Synology. I should probably do a video on just how we set it up, because it's not about the business that we did it for as much as how we did it to help solve a small business problem, setting up a whole series of backups and redundancies across a series of Synologies at their locations. There's actually some cool use cases that we've done for these that are really cool. These are just not things that I think can be done in Unraid. I don't think Unraid scales. But as far as would you like to use Unraid? Do you think it's a good product? Is kind of, I think, the question people are like asking. I don't know anything about it being bad. It just doesn't seem to scale. Let me, what else we have here? 2U, 12A, R710, R720. Any reason QNAP? QNAP has had a lot of bad security problems. They seem to like to, if I understood right, a few of them I think were hard-coded credentials, and other things were just, we don't feel like fixing it. And yeah, bad. That, matter of fact, let's pull it up, if I'm not mistaken. Huh. Hey, look, another bleeping computer article. QNAP removes backdoor in account. They only are removing backdoors as they get found, which causes some of the problems. And this is why we had the QLocker ransomware, was because if you put a backdoor in, someone will discover the backdoor. That's how it works. This is why you never want the backdoor in there. But QNAP, I don't know. This is just bad, and they've been in the news a couple times. Well, so has this one, of course. Oh, yeah, that's a Microsoft proxy shell is a whole nother topic. Anyways, but yeah, that's why I don't cover QNAP, which I don't have a use case for companies that install backdoors in their system. How's that? There is the advantage that, as someone pointed out here, with the Unraid of, Synology does this too, the expandability of mismatched hard drives and choosing which ones are for parity. It's something you can do in there. So yeah, Synology, Steve Gibson covered a couple of the incidents about QNAP on his Security Now podcast. I don't remember which episodes they were, but if you type in like Security Now podcast and QNAP, there's a couple episodes where he dove into some of the challenges with dealing with them. He talked about how the security researchers like basically reached out and couldn't get responses from QNAP. That's not really good when security researchers call you, and yeah, that's definitely a problem. The other, I didn't know this because I've never set up a QNAP. Someone said QNAP has some performance issues due to the way they handle the parity drives, that it ends up not being very fast. So that's a thought as well. And obviously that's a big issue when you're doing things and talking about performance, is what does that performance actually end up looking like? And there you go. This is a reminder to like and subscribe, but actually I'm going to show you something cool about this. So let me pull this up. This is a project I'm going to do a video on. Now, it's finished, finally, but I have to find, whoops, not that one. I forgot the IP address to log into it. That's one thing I haven't gotten done. This is an e-ink display. Yeah, and speed matters a lot when it comes to storage. This is one of those. So let's go here. Here, we'll show you guys first what I'm doing. So if we go here and we go to, is it sub count? Yeah. All right, we're going to kick this off. I think that's all I need to do. And it's going to update the sub count. Oh, cool. This is how these e-ink displays work for those of you that are wondering. So this is, it's going to start updating any moment. So it takes a moment because it's Raspberry Pi, the 0. Oh, there we go. Now you get to watch what it looks like. This is what it looks like updating in real time, how it clears the screen. Let's see. It's really slow. You rate RAID 1 in most cases. Oh, okay. This is a hello YouTube moment. This has been a fun project. This is kind of cool. You're watching how slow an e-ink display updates to build this in real time. I want to do a video on how I like this e-ink display. Now it's here. We'll give you a switch back and forth because it's going to start drawing it here. Oh, now it's going to start drawing it. We'll switch real quick. This is what I'm seeing on the screen. It's drawing the 480 by 480 pixels, and it's still fading in. Yeah, that's one thing about it. E-ink is really cool. Now, what makes e-ink really cool is something I'll show you just in a second here. All right, we have finished the e-ink update. Now, on the back of this is how the Raspberry Pi connects. So there's the power. There's the display. We're going to go ahead and here, I'll leave it facing the world here. We're going to go ahead and pull the cord. All right. We are no longer plugged in. That's my favorite thing about e-ink. It looks the same even when it's not plugged in. So it becomes static. So all this data is no longer being updated at the moment. But yeah, that's kind of novel the way that works. I'll be doing a video about that. I like e-ink displays. They're cool for data that doesn't change a lot or that doesn't need to be updated in absolute real time. But kind of like maybe you have it update every half hour, every 30 minutes. And that's been kind of fun to play with it. I don't know what else I'm going to do with it, but the obvious low-hanging fruit was why not put the YouTube logo on there with the subscriber count. It was a fun learning opportunity, so I will probably do a video. I want to do a few more Raspberry Pi videos on things like that, so definitely pretty cool. Let's see. Oh, the big advantage of Unraid is the case of catastrophic failure. You only lose data on the missing drives instead of something like ZFS where you can lose everything. I don't know if that's advantage. That's just storing data on hard drives. I guess. I don't know. If you want to use Unraid, I don't have a problem with it. The more I read you guys post things here, you make me not want to use it at all. Doesn't Synology allow you to use different size and speed hard drives? Yes, but it's one of those things like allowed to use and problems you will have using it. You'll end up with when drives are mismatched speed, unusual performance. So does it function? Yeah, but if drives are out of sync with each other, the writes are not syncing, and you actually end up with a weird performance metric of how things work. So that, I don't know. I don't recommend it. It's not that, it's one of those things, working and working well are different answers. So I don't recommend having a bunch of random drives at random speeds. You can do that with ZFS. There's ways, but it's not a recommended thing to do. I think I have a video titled Unbalanced VDEVs, and oddly specific there, right? But it's one of those things about how you can have unbalanced arrays, but they also can cause some issues, and performance is unpredictable with those as well. ESOS project, unfamiliar with it. What is the ESOS project? I don't think it's a risky. It doesn't sound like a risky Google search. Never heard of it. Enterprise open source performance. Huh. High performance purpose built appliance like Linux based but from scratch, no relation to other Linux distributions. Interesting. But still not as popular as the largest and most popular open source tool in the world for storage, and that is truly TrueNAS. There's a reason, and it comes down to like ease of use and functionality. This seems like a lot less of that. Okay, so it looks like it works with iSCSI. Novel. For all this work, is it any faster than... Is it any faster is the question. If I took the same piece of hardware, what's the advantage of using this? Is it as resilient as ZFS? I'm going to go with... Does it use ZFS? I guess that's the other question. Building... Uses LVM, virtual disk, software RAID. Yeah, I've never used it. I don't think I'll start using it. There's nothing about it. There's a reason people like ZFS. Oh, especially because they're not... Yeah, I can probably bet you it's not near as advanced as ZFS because they're using MD-ADM. Yeah. I'm going to stick with TrueNAS here. This doesn't compel me that much. Looks cool. It might be a fun... Maybe I'm completely wrong about the project. Maybe it's better than I think it is. So, for what it's worth, feel free to try it out. It's not on my roadmap. I will leave that there. Of all the things I have to do, that was probably a lower on the list. Windows storage spaces will let you do mismatched speed, etc. But a lot of them that do will allow you to have these mismatched things, but you're going to suffer the performance that comes with having mismatched things. Let's see. For a NAS, if I can't trust the storage, then it has no value. Yeah, very true. If it only supports iSCSI, that I just talked about that in my last video. iSCSI versus NFS. That is there's reasons to use NFS despite iSCSI having certain advantages in terms of small block rate performance speeds. Whatever happened to XFS? I think XFS is still the default in Red Hat. It's still around. What is the most server or PC backing up to one for a NAS? I don't understand that question exactly. So we've definitely built some big systems. I mean, the system we're building right now is, like I said, the main system running TrueNAS, the primary system is going to have 60 18 terabyte hard drives in it. So yeah, that's a lot of hard drives. Let's see. Back to the benchmarking. Let's talk about that real quick. Close this, close this. Close that. And then pull up. I have it over here somewhere. This is one of the things I was talking about in my last video. Which one's which? That's a Synology one. This is the one I wanted to talk about. This is what I covered in my last video, was the storage stats for this. And this is one of those things that I thought was interesting. You get a 25%. this is the NFS side, this is the iSCSI side. So on the right is iSCSI and on the left is NFS. And if you're looking like the flexible IO test or sequential writes, we were able to get a 25% speed boost doing them under NFS. Then we have the, where did it win? When you went to the sequential reads, the iSCSI was faster in sequential reads, but the sequential writes faster in NFS. I actually think, and my hypothesis, if I can say that right, hypothesis is that the reading was faster on iSCSI because it was able to cache it better. So that's probably my suspicion as to one of the reasons that some of those, but it's kind of interesting where it is one of those things I talked about so much in the video. So much of this that goes on really comes down to your use case and what is it that you really need. Are you optimizing for large writes, as in you're streaming videos or storing backups on there? Are you optimizing for database where lots of small transactions will make a big difference? And that's one factor. The next factor is the ability to back up and restore from snapshots and thin and thick provisioning. When you start dealing with thin and thick provisioning, now you have a whole nother set of factors that really determine your storage design, because if you can't get the drives, and let's we'll go into this one here. This one here, snapshots. And if I go and make a bunch of snapshots, we'll do another snapshot here, another snapshot here. Because these are all thin provisioned, and I'm doing them so fast here, the snapshots we create, we'll go ahead and SSH into this. 2 and 3. Well, I got to get the storage name. Actually, it's the other one. There we go. So this is that storage server running these. Should make it wider. People could see it. All these little VHDs are only 128K because it's all thin provision. So even though this is technically, and this one's 4.4 gigs because I'm running benchmarks, this one's 36 gigs, even though the VM itself is a 60 gig because it's all thin provision, so it only takes up 36 gig. This is a big advantage that NFS has, being thin provisioned, and this is the other advantage. When we go through all these snapshots and we purge them, and then we go in here, it frees up the disk a little bit fast. It's going to take a second because these have to coalesce. Oh, they already coalesced, it looks like. So let me rescan this. All right, there's at least a couple that still need to coalesce back. This is one of those problems that I've helped people with when they broke their storage servers, because if you don't account for how quick all these drives can coalesce because they need enough storage space to reassemble all this and refix the chains, you can over provision the system very quickly with just a couple snapshots with thick provisioning. But with thin provisioning, just not really an issue because it only takes up the differential between the changes. And that is one of those other big advantages of NFS. Also, from a snapshot standpoint, if I snapshot an NFS directory, because everything in this directory is just a series of little VHD files, as long as I know which file's which, and by the way, each VHD is pretty easy to figure out which one's which. Right there is that one. So if we, so 04 D621FE is clearly this one right here. So you're able to figure out which was which in terms of these disks and which one's going to be which when they coalesce. And if you needed to restore one, if I needed to go back in NFS and restore any particular VM, all I need to know is which VHD file matches up to it. I can restore it, copy that VHD file around. iSCSI, that's a whole lot harder to do. And that's one of the factors that sometimes play into when you're doing storage design is which one is going to work because of that. Let's see. I've never touched Xpanology, the like free version built roll on your own hardware. I don't know anything about it to tell you if it's good, bad, or ugly. Some people seem to use it. I don't. I've seen people ask me about it. I don't plan on doing any videos on it. Let's see. I'm curious what my staff are. Okay, it's just my staff messaging me stuff. Nothing too important here. Don't virtualize FreeNAS, TrueNAS. I'll agree with that for sure. That is one of those things where people end up with a lot of problems. Yeah, do not virtualize it unless you like having problems. Once you've done it, even when you pass the controller through, there's all kinds of quirkiness. Now, if you're willing to deal with the quirkiness, there was actually a write-up done by the people at XCP-NG. Someone virtualized TrueNAS, and through a lot of back and forth, they were able to find a kernel bug, and they worked with the TrueNAS people and the XCP-NG people to reproduce this kernel bug that caused a problem that was causing data corruption, and it all had to do with being virtualized. So it's one of those, you add a lot of complexity, and potentially if you can't get over that complexity you add, then you're just going to have more problems. So it's not something I would ever run in production. It would only be something I use in a lab. Space Invader 1 is a channel that does have, for those of you that are looking for Unraid, watch Space Invader 1. I know that they have put out, if you look for Unraid videos, I don't know anyone else besides Space Invader 1 that actually has some tutorials on it. So, yes. Just in general, Optane NVMe or any type of caching drives, first throw memory. If you're talking about TrueNAS, first throw memory at it. Lots of memory. That's going to be your best. If you can't throw memory at it, or you want to throw an Optane drive at it, they can boost performance under the conditions. Like, for example, the slog, the ZIL intent, the write log can help. So the use case was what it comes down to. There's some articles, because it's really complicated how ZFS works. And it's not an automatic, if you're having a performance problem, just throw in a write caching drive, because it doesn't work like a normal write cache, because it's not really a write cache. It is part of the intention log of data that's going to be written so it can be passed between the drives and committed faster. It's not like an instantly, this will solve all your storage problems by having this drive and it writes to the fast drives and then later commits there. Synology does it a little bit more like that, where they can have it right to the fast drives and later commit to the slow drives. FreeNAS works a lot differently. FreeNAS, TrueNAS / ZFS specifically, whether you're using it just in Linux or in BSD, it doesn't work the same way where you just drop in a write and it just writes it all here and it copies it over there. So it becomes a lot more complicated question to answer. I should probably, Wendell's done a great job of describing ZFS. I thought about me and Wendell just putting together, maybe I should reach out to him about putting together a Q&A about ZFS, because boy, there's so many little factors that go into tuning it. And he did a great job of, especially the metadata. That's a whole nother one. If you want to have the metadata where you have a lot of spinning drives, but then put the metadata specifically for certain data sets on an SSD, he wrote some cool tools to be able to do that. And that can be a big win to boost your storage performance, because now you're actually talking about moving things around, about how they're stored on the drive and where things like the lookup versus the data is stored. And when the lookups can be stored separately than the data, you can definitely get some performance boosts on there, because that's actually where the challenge could come in, is indexing all the data versus streaming all the data. If you're doing directories, and his example is doing directories with just doing an ls command where there's just just massive amounts of files in there, that can take a while. Finding the file takes a while. Streaming the file reasonably fast, because you can get the performance, the read stream performance back out relatively fast, but if you are experiencing latency finding that data, it makes the overall process feel slower. So that's where I haven't dove into, but this is where those extra drive types that are in the new version of ZFS can really help you, but also I need to take the time to really sit down and explain them. And Wendell's done a better job than me because I think he understands it better than me. So I'm still working to get to that level of understanding on those drives. Anyone who uses Fusion IO memory and TuneScale? I am not. I'm actually probably going to switch at least one of my systems soon over to TuneScale. So I want to dive in and start testing it a lot more. I'm excited about it. It's coming along quite well. So yes. Definitely going to be one of those things that's going to be fun as the work progresses on that. Overpromise, underdeliver all the time, whenever you can. I will definitely agree with that. All right, I am done here in just about 10 more minutes. So what are the final questions we have for Tom that we can talk about? Because I need to go do my other hobby of looking at cars and stuff like that. For those, I sometimes get off topic on the car topic. That's an enjoyable thing we have here in the summers here in Michigan, is going to car shows and my other hobby. So, oh, I think I can share that. I can share this now too. This has been, where did it go? All right. Oh, that's not the right. Does it look? It looks wrong there. That's not the right. That's actually an interesting bug. Huh. This, we'll pull up the photos instead. So let's pull up the photos on this. Where did it go? I posted these on the Twitter. There we go. Who can identify what this is? So I've had this for a little while now, and I've been doing testing with it. So I was under embargo because I was allowed to have an early version. Well, when they first started shipping, I was one of the first to get one and do the review. So we actually been testing the Netgate SG, the 6100, for a little while now. This is definitely a cool device. So I'm gonna have my review done really soon on it. But yeah, it does have all those extra ports. It has these combo ports on there. And video review coming really soon on this, but my review is also going to be based on, I've been using it. It's plugged in my lab rack at my house. So I do have this extra rack at home that I have stuff in. Rate my home lab setup, man. Is it awesome or what? Maybe it's a little sad, but I posted this on Twitter. This is in my basement next to my furnace. Well, close to, adjacent to it. But there's a few things in here. We do have a Aruba switch, a Synology, the little 6100, my little TrueNAS Mini, the future spot for a toilet right here. So, yeah. People always ask what I have at home. Not a lot. There's not much at home. So, hey! And Cody has his as well. Yep. So that's 6100. Gonna be cool. I'm excited to do that one. The Netgate we talked about. Yep. Yeah. Christian McDonald is in here. He definitely can confirm. I have a feeling he's probably got one, or at least has worked on one, and maybe even done some WireGuard on one, which I need to get back to some WireGuard, the WireGuard on that. Now, this is something I will have a complaint about with the 6100, so inside scoop here that I think is silly, and it's the reason Tim W is probably asking this question. Can you change the ports from WAN to LAN on the 6100. And let's actually, this is something I want to point out. These ports right here are labeled WAN 10 gig, WAN 3 10 gig, and WAN 4 10 gig. And then this is LAN, 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 LAN. These are all individual ports. Call them whatever you want. You can reassign and rename them. The previous Netgate products have used IG0, IG1, etc. They use the logical port names. This has names like LAN 1, 2, 3. Now, behind the scenes are still the logical port names. But because these are individual ports, I could simply make these LAN if I wanted to. I can make these LAN if I wanted to. And this too. I can reassign any of these individually, with the exception of the combo ports. The combo ports are either this port or that port, but functionally inside the system, they're a single port. There's just a different medium that is plugged in, whether it's SFP or RJ45. So that is the only exception. So this is considered one logical port, one logical port. This is one logical port for WAN 3, one logical port for WAN 4, and then LAN 1 through 4 are all individual logical ports. So that being said, yes, you can reassign them. You can assign them to whatever you want. I just wish they were just called by their logical port names, because calling them that causes the confusion that people have. Well, can I convert that one that says WAN? I need another LAN port. So technically, WAN 3 and 4 could be your WAN/LAN ports, and not a problem doing that. It would just, for people that are annoyed by the nomenclature of labeling it that way, would be annoyed by it. But functionally, you can do that. So, yeah, that's the only. I have a complaint by them, labeling it that way. But whatever. So it's not. It's hardly. It's an arbitrary little thing I'm nitpicking on. The overall is like no big deal. That's life. They are discrete without the weird VLAN switching thing. I'll be covering that as well. RJ45 LAN ports, I believe, are all 2.5 gig. So that's they're definitely nice. Can you use both SFP and RJ45? Now, we actually played with this, and it's kind of funny. Kind of. You can actually... I forget how it favors. We have some notes on that. We did some stupid testing, and we can actually plug them both in at the same time, and I think it registers whichever one's plugged in first. But technically, you could make some type of link failover with it, because when you unplug the other one, it instantly switches to the other. But I believe it senses whichever one's plugged. I can't remember if it's whichever one plugs in first or if it favors one or the other. It's not designed to have them both plugged in. But you can plug them both in. It's not. I don't think I'd recommend it. I'm positive Netgate wouldn't recommend it. So there's that. Open Media Vault. Use it if it makes you happy. I have no interest in using Open Media Vault. I don't use it. I haven't used it. It's not on my to-do list. It isn't. I mean, you can do HA with this device, but I don't recommend doing it with the dual combo ports. That's not the ideal way to do it. So having an older processor in the Synology is problematic for some people. I don't know what to say about that. The Synology performs quite well. The performance is quite good on them. Putting a faster processor with lesser software does not give you better performance. I know QNAP seems to throw faster processors at it. Synology, some of them are not as fast. If you need something faster, build it yourself. If the Synology is not adequate for what you're trying to do. A big thing Synology seems to be focusing on is a lot of what these companies that build servers are focusing on is high levels of reliability. If I ever did a video about mail servers, it would be just all the reasons you shouldn't host your own mail server. So no, I don't host mail servers. I used to be a mail server administrator, which is why I'm not right now. that's what I was doing in the early 2000s. I was a sysadmin that hosted mail servers. Not, and matter of fact, I barely did any Exchange servers. I used to do SendMail, and then later I moved over to Postfix, and I did everything from the SendMail recipes, the what do you call that? Proc mail recipes with regex matching to try to combat spam, tied in with filtering systems. It became a cat and mouse game, and for now, I would say hosting email is not a great idea. It's a pain. It's a lot of work for little reward. So I would say not to host your own mail server. One of the big challenges of hosting your own mail server isn't the incoming mail and all the challenges of filtering garbage that comes in. It is also the outgoing mail and not getting on spam lists and people accepting your email coming from a odd server. Yeah, connectivity with mail servers outbound is hard. And we've had people, matter of fact, I had someone went back and forth and I just couldn't help them. They don't know why either. They set up their own mail server following some instructions on the internet and then couldn't sign up for my forums. And they DM'd me on Twitter and I said, there's nothing I can do. Your mail server won't accept connections. It just says denied. It doesn't even tell me why. I looked at the logs from our outbound sending unit because of the way my forums works. I can see the transactions, but their mail server was denying it. And they're like, well, I don't know how to fix it. I'm like, I don't know how to fix it either. Like, it's your mail server. So use a different email address, use a Gmail address. And they said, oh, I don't want to use Gmail. And I said, choose another mail service. I don't know. I thought about doing a video, all the reasons you shouldn't host your own mail server because it comes up so often. I just don't recommend it. Oh yeah. So Exchange server. Yeah. Don't host that. Oh, Exchange server. I briefly did that. I'm happy I don't do that anymore. So, all right. I was looking at switching my data from ext4 to ZFS. Have a RAID 6 with my 5 to 16. Wondering how complicated it would be. Copy all the data somewhere else. Build a ZFS array. Copy it back. So there's, it's not too hard to build moving storage arrays. It's just learning how to do it. It's also really hard to, how difficult is a question that depends more on you than me. One of the challenges is always understanding people's skill levels. To say, to me, storage servers, when you play with them all day and you're playing with hard drives all the time, and I've been doing it for a long time, I would rate them as easy. And this is actually a conversation I was having with a few tech friends of, I need to at some point, and I may do this sooner or later, do certain trading classes, because I don't know where my knowledge gaps are, maybe in certain categories, because most of my knowledge was accumulated, well, all of my knowledge, not most of it, all of it was accumulated haphazardly through my desire to learn something and never validated at any point in time. So without any certifications or without going through a training class on any of these products, I actually don't always know where some of the gaps are, but it also makes it very hard for me to judge because I learn independently, not in a classroom or a peer environment as much, that where a knowledge gap may lie for someone. I know where it is for my staff. I can tell and assign them tasks. I know what they can and can't do or what I should recommend them to read and learn to accomplish a project. But it's really hard to meet a stranger and say, is that hard to do, Tom? I have no idea if that's hard for you to do. Where's your knowledge gaps at on this? So it's a common question that I want to give a better answer to, but it's really challenging. All right, well, off-topic things. I like to be off-topic at the end. Because what Tom's going to go do is probably... See, last weekend I was at a Tesla meetup, or yeah, well, it would have been 2 weeks ago when I did Vlog Thursday. Because now, I did see this though. Here, I'll share you guys. This is what I'm going to go do. So you see that again. This is what goes on in Detroit. You have car shows, and we have cars that blow excessive flames because, pollution. It's more fun that way. That's actually, that's what I'm going to be doing when I leave here. I have a car show to go attend. So Was there any more questions before Tom leaves for the car show shortly here? It's also really hot out, so it is 91 degrees out according to Google behind me. Hot sauce of the day. Let's see. Hot sauce of the day. I need to review a couple things. I am a member of Tech Tribe. Why is that relevant to hot sauce? Because Nigel sent me a box of hot sauce, and I want to kind of review Tech Tribe and talk about that. So that's going to be some of the hot sauce of the choice. There are a bunch of hot sauces from Australia, where Nigel, who runs Tech Tribe, is from. So I may be talking about that. That's going to be fun. We want to actually do another hot sauce video because the folks over at Rumble were kind enough, and their thank you for the video I made was sending me some more hot sauces that we have sitting there. We definitely are going to be doing that, so that's going to be fun. So I will have some more hot sauce. I may even do a hot sauce video because we haven't done one in a while. Let's see. You're late. Can we start the stream over? No. Flamethrowers definitely are fun. That would be a fun mod for my Tesla. Is to, hey, can my Tesla shoot flames? The mic I'm using is this. I can't drag it in frame, can I? Nope. Sorry. Oh, hold on. Watch this. The mic I'm using is this. That's the mic that you're hearing me on right now. I'm probably killing people by making a bunch of noises with it. This mic is connected to my computer, but not the studio computer. So that one's just one I push out of the way. This is also cool. You can watch me from this angle if you want. And it's got all the cool, it'll soft focus and things like that too. This is my Sony camera. I'm looking this way. This is my Canon studio camera looking this way. Get a McFlurry for the car show. Yes, it's hot. I will definitely be doing that. So yeah, strap a few not a flamethrowers to the back of the Tesla. That is a genius idea. I actually really like that idea. I like that idea quite a bit. When this guy pulled up, though, he was setting off the car alarm. That thing is wild. Right there, man. Detroit, the Motor City. That's how you know that's a Detroit car, right? I love rat rods too, so. You can see in the background over here, more of them. And then, hold on, one more car that was in there. I wanted this guy. So crazy things you see at car shows. This car will do about, he said 8.6 seconds in a quarter mile. And he drives it on the street. I wanted to go for a ride in it. This thing is wild. And it's full NHRA. Look at that. He's even got the little straps to keep the engine from flying out of the car. Oh, by the way, look at these computer fans. Isn't that cool? He's got these little fans in there that blow on the supercharger to cool it off. They're computer fan. They're high CFM ones. I can't believe they don't melt, but they're standard 12-volt fans, and he does it to cool down the supercharger to get it nice and so you get a little bit more cold air intake and a little bit higher of a charge. Thought that was kind of novel. I'm like, hey, those are computer fans on your hot rod. Yeah. Oh, Woodward Dream Cruise. I went to that too. So Woodward Dream Cruise is cool. Car meets are cool. Oh, you know what? You're right. Instead of having a flamethrower on the back of the Tesla, having a Tesla coil on the back of a Tesla, that would be... I know they weren't RGB. That's the one downside. They weren't RGB fans. But yeah, having a Tesla coil on the back of the Tesla. There we go. Now I know what I need. I need a Tesla coil in the front of my Tesla. So when I pop the hood, what powers it? Would it be cool to have a Tesla coil under my frunk, in my frunk? So... Now I have something I want to put in there. That is a cool idea. Oh, let's see. Yeah, there's the car shows here. If you're into the car culture, Detroit's a neat place for car culture. It's just there's so much of it here. There's car shows. I mean, today's a Thursday. There's another car show. There a car show yesterday I went to. It probably had 120, 130 classic cars at it of all types. And there's even a BMW BMW electric car there. So I'm electric nerd. So I'm like, okay, I'll go talk to the BMW person. But there was also some classic VWs and things like that there. So lots of neat stuff. It's one of my hobbies outside of tech, for those of you that didn't know or maybe new to the stream here. Because I went... last week was the Tesla Meetup. So there was about 80 of us that met up, except for this person is my favorite, as he has a Tesla. I was like, I really like that license plate. That was my favorite plate. I was like, oh, that's great. I think I showed these last week. But yeah, there was a big meetup. This actually wrapped around the place. We went around. These are all garages this is a racetrack we were at. So the quietest rollout ever. So yeah, boring company flamethrower strapped under the bumper. We can go with that. Tesla Powerwall, maybe. I kind of want to do a DIY Powerwall. I'd like to build one, but I got to really dedicate the time to it. So well, that's a good question. Which is more a fake Mustang, the 4-cylinder Mustang or the Mach-E? I love watching the anger that comes from the Mustang clubs. And then I always joke, I always say, hey, I got a Mach-E. Can I join your club? Like I have a few friends that are into that, and it's always fun trolling them. I think Ford did a good job calling it the Mustang because it caused so much controversy. So whether you wanted to be in the news or not, you're in the news, and that's what matters. So that's definitely what, to me, makes it very amusing. So hey, Ford marketing, thumbs up. You could have just called it a Mach-E, but you added the Mustang, and now you got the Ford people all upset. You got all the Mustang people upset. Perfect. What are you going to do? Well, it's just like reusing the Lightning. Someone complained about that because Ford had a series of trucks in the 90s that were referred to as Ford Lightning. I believe it was in the 90s and early 2000s. I don't remember what exact years they made those. They were high-performance trucks that Ford made, so them reusing the Lightning name for the electric, I think is good for electric, but a few people at the car shows, I don't like that they're calling it a Lightning, so you're going to mix it up with this 20-year-old vehicle. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not confusing it with that. It's not, I don't know. Whatever. All right, I think we've managed to make it to 508, 130. Hit the like button. Thank you all for coming here, liking, subscribing, watching me update my little thing. I'm up to, there's 203,000 of you here. So that's pretty cool. And hit me up in the forums. Hit me up on Twitter. And thank you all for joining. I really appreciate everyone that shows up to these. It's always fun doing these interactive stuff. I almost want to do them more often, if maybe at a different time zone. If there's a better time zone where I should do one more live stream like once a month to catch all the people that are in a different time zone, let me know what time that would be, and tell me in Eastern Standard Time, because that's my time. So if you could let me know what time would be a good time, I don't mind doing more live streams. I don't mind even doing them from home. Sometimes, like, why not? Hit a button, and do that. So sounds like fun. Let me know what you think in the comments down below on doing that, and appreciate it. I'm gonna press the button and take off now. I think it's this button here. Oh, and as thank you, Cody, for pointing this out last time. Mac Telecom Networks, that I'm supposed to click the end stream over here as well as the button right here, or if not, it doesn't publish. So all right, so 10 p.m. my time, I can do 10 p.m. I'm not doing a lot at 10 p.m. Well, yes, I'm playing with the computer. I don't play a lot of games. So 7 to 8 a.m. or p.m. You got to specify. So I see someone says 7 or 8 Eastern time, but a.m. or p.m. I wake up every morning at 5, so I can do early morning, but either way, leave it in the comments, not necessarily in the chat, because that's where I'll check the comments later.